You're listening to Fucks Given, the one with Dr Cuterus. Good morning, Reed, or good evening.
Good evening. Yeah, it's like 20 to 5 over here.
8 a.m. bays in LA. How's it going?
It's going okay. Yeah, it's all right. Hanging in there. It's a bad day today.
I feel like I'm trying to drag someone out of a hot, sticky pool of mud.
Yeah, you are, I think. I think that's the way.
I thought you were going to be super excited to tell me some stuff that's been happening to you at the beginning of this episode, because you half told me about it yesterday on our morning meeting, and I know that there's been some exciting things happening for you in the last week.
Yeah, there have been really exciting. I had a really nice weekend. Really nice. But period has just completely smashed me in the face.
Oh.
PMS. Yeah, so I'm just I hate life right now.
Oh, fuck.
Can't pull myself out of the period pool.
That was me 2 weeks ago, in the worst mood ever with my PMS.
Yeah.
I can't believe how it hits us sometimes.
Yeah, I'm shocked. I felt fucking amazing yesterday. And then I woke up today and I was like, oh my God. I felt like I had I was covered in cement. I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't do anything. Even just the idea of going to the toilet, I was like, I can't do it.
Yeah. Oh,
and
babes, I feel
so
for you.
long. Yeah. And I'm trying to put on a brave face and I'm like, yeah, it's cool.
Today we have a really exciting guest on who is a doctor who is trained in sexual health. So we can literally grill her on all of the questions about sex education. She has worked in the UK, in India, and now she's in the US. So she has been around loads of different types of sex education.
Yeah, maybe she can tell me why I feel so fucking shite.
Yeah, she probably will be able to. You're like, doctor, please help me. My womb is killing me slowly.
It's more just the depressive feeling. I'm crushed by life today and I can't bring myself out of it. It's just frustrating. I was going to say, I think a lot of people don't realise, we being who we are and putting our faces out there, and there are some days where we literally have to just put on a brave face and fucking record a podcast or film something. It's literally the last thing you want to do.
Yeah. I mean, we've had episodes where we've literally been crying before recording and being I don't think I can do this. And then just being like, okay, I'm going to do it. I can start off with the updates. I feel like I had an interesting sexual experience on Sunday. I had a bit of a revelation this weekend where I decided that even though I'm in this weird place where I'm half wanting to get into another relationship, half enjoying single life. But then I had a realization that actually I think I'm not ready for a relationship at all. And actually I'm just enjoying single life, and that's okay. I don't have to be trying to find a connection with people I meet, because it's actually okay not to. And that was quite a big realization for me, that, you know what, when I was in relationships, I would always miss being single in some type of way, and miss the freedom, miss being able to just go on loads of dates. And I'm fucking enjoying going on loads of dates and meeting new people, and actually I don't want to give that up anytime soon. So and then after I had that realization, I had basically actually just a dick appointment on Sunday. And I just went over to, you know what, it's actually the guy that said that I had thin lips.
Oh, thin lip guy, fuck me.
The thin lip guy. So you know what, after that we did hang out once again and it was nice. I think I told you guys. But then we haven't seen each other since.
Yeah, when you remove that feeling of this has to be something more, you have so much more physical and mental freedom.
It was always going to be very casual with him.
Yeah.
Not going to beat around the bush. We had that conversation in our first FaceTime when I was in Toronto. But so anyway, he was like, what are you doing on Sunday? So I was like, now, you know, just sunbathing in the garden, having a me day. But I'll be free when the sun leaves the garden. And so, yeah, I ended up going to his on Sunday. And this is the first time I've been to his. This is the first time we were going to be, like, sexually intimate. And I was actually, considering everything that happened with a thin lip moment, didn't have the highest expectations. I didn't think, like, it was going to be bad, obviously, because I wouldn't have gone if I thought it was going to be bad. But, you know, I was just like, you know, it's going to be a fuck. But his dick was such a good fit.
Oh, nice.
I was so shook. So, yeah, it was like a key in a lock situation. And I was like, wow, these don't come around very often. And yeah, it was just really rubbing all the right spots and felt amazing. But I told you about this yesterday. So we had sex once and there was a condom in the first time we had sex. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The second time we had sex, and this happens so often with people that I like. I've experienced this a lot in my life, where there's a sexual situation and people make presumptions about your sexual health and their own sexual health. And they, in that moment of, like, being so turned on and horny, they go against their better judgment and try and avoid using a condom. So, like, we were getting all, like, hot and frisky again, genitals were rubbing, and, like, I was like, hey, we have to use a condom. And then there was more rubbing and, like, avoiding that, what I said, basically. And then I was just, like, getting in my own head, like, I think I've told you guys before, like, I find the idea of the risk and the danger of that moment a huge fucking turn on.
It's like breeding, like, kink, isn't it?
It's part of the breeding kink, and also just, like, we shouldn't be doing this. So now I'm really, like, turned on by it. And I think I might have said twice, hey, we should use a condom, because I have, like, obviously I do have my better judgment head on, like, during sex, and I'm like, I do need to say this because I do, like, this is what we should do. But my body won't let me pull away because I'm so fucking turned on by the moment. So I can't, like, pull away and be like, here's a condom, I brought one with me. So in the moment, this is what really confuses me, because it's such a grey area. Because I then allowed him to penetrate me without a condom, and it felt fucking amazing. Yeah, and I had an orgasm within, like, the first 2 minutes because I was so turned on by that and it felt so good. But then after I orgasmed for the rest of the sexual thing before he came, I was in my head like, fuck, what are we doing? Like, we're just going fucking raw dog here. Like,
yeah. And it's
what's going on?
Because it's not just assuming people's sexual, like, health and assuming you both don't have STIs. It's also, like, if you're not on contraception, I bet you have been like, okay, we can do this, but there is quite a high risk of pregnancy. 1 in 5 women get pregnant from the pull-out method. Do you want to have a baby with me? He might think completely differently about
I mean, I said during, I was just like, you cannot come inside me, by the way. Because I don't know if he knew that I wasn't on contraception. I
feel like it would just be irresponsible not to ask. But I hate that question as well. I hate it when guys are like, are you on contraception? I'm like, are you expecting to come inside me? Like, is this, you know, I think I've told Sam off for that question. And he was like, no, that's not what I meant. I just, just wanted to know. I was like,
I mean, it's good for them to know, like, I feel like he should have asked in that moment.
Yeah, in that moment, abso-fucking-lutely.
But then afterwards, I was just lying there feeling a bit like, I was getting in my head. I was just like, fuck, now I need to go and find, like, how do you even get tested in America? Like, I don't even know, like, their healthcare system's fucked. Can I get a test for free? Am I going to have to pay for it? Yeah. Like, can I even get a test as someone that's not an American citizen? I'm sure it can, But like all these questions floating around in my head. And then I decided that I was going to say something to him, because I was just like, I can't just be sitting here feeling all these things and not say anything to him. So I was just like, you know what, I'm feeling some type of way about not using protection. Because I feel like, you know, because of what I do, like I should be way more responsible, and I feel like I let it happen. And he was very like, oh babe, like I'm really sorry, like sorry I just got carried away, like all of those things. That's like I know how he was feeling, but at the same time I did ask twice to use a condom.
You have every
and
right
that's
to be
when
pissed off.
But at the same time, it's easier to say something than it is to pull away from the moment. So I'm torn about that grey area.
It is,
to be honest.
Like, we've all done it. I've done it too. And it's good for us to talk about it, because there are a lot of people out there that will have the guilt from being caught up in the moment and not using protection, because protection is drilled into us. It's like, you are a bad person if you don't use protection, which is also a bad stigma. You know, that's wrong to think that, because situations are so different from not just person to person, but also like sexual experience to sexual experience. It's like, where do you draw the line? And when you are caught up in the heat of the moment, it is hard to say. What is frustrating is when you do say and nothing happens from there. But also, like again, you kind of semi gave permission. I also it's a grey area. It's not just a black and white answer of like yes or no.
Yeah, because I said it, but I was still rubbing my pussy up on his dick. Yeah. So I don't fucking know. Yeah. And then like, oh my God, the first thing I said after we finished fucking was, when was the last time you got tested? Like nothing else was said after that, apart from when was the last time you were tested? Jesus, yeah. Because I hadn't even had the chance to have that conversation yet, you know? Because this was the first time we've been sexually like around each other. And he was just like, yeah, two months ago. And I was like, well, yeah, 2 months ago for me too. And I was just like, and I was just like, well, you know, like if you did this with me, have you done this with the other girls that you have slept with recently? And he was just like, yeah, no, I haven't really like slept with that many people recently. And I'm just like, do I believe you? Yeah. Do I not believe you? Do you like, I also like have been coming to I think a lot of people don't have as much sex as we have.
Yes, I think that's true. Yeah.
But I also don't know, maybe he is.
I don't know. I feel like it's also this idea of you're bad if you have sex with loads of people. You know, if he had owned up and he was like, yeah, so I have had sex with like 9 people in the past, blah, 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 and they were all without protection. There's like element of owning it, and you're allowed to be angry, but like at least there's the honesty there. Yeah. But because it's like kind of wishy-washy answer. You're just like, I just don't trust that. I don't trust that.
The thing is, I'm not a saint. I'm not an angel. I had unprotected sex with my friend that I'm seeing.
Yeah.
Very briefly, because we were like, we just want to know what it feels like without a condom on. But like, that's someone like I'm seeing more regularly, so that felt like a little bit better. I don't know why.
Yeah.
And it was like a joint decision, you know?
But like, condoms don't ruin sex. I think
they really don't.
They shouldn't do. If they're ruining sex for you, you're doing it with the wrong fucking person. You know, like you're supposed to be able to have a laugh about it and get the condom out and yes, we're doing this together, rather than like, you know, like wear that badge with pride. Yes, I'm gonna get a condom. Yes, of course.
Exactly.
But also give them a shit sandwich. Like be like, oh, can we? Sorry, can you get the condom? No? Like, well, if you don't want to have sex without a condom, like maybe together we can go get tested together, and if we're both negative, then we can fuck without condoms. But until then, get the condom.
Yeah. That's such a good point.
Do not
if you're not on contraception, you just shouldn't, like, if you're not in a relationship, you know, I mean, I was using a pull-out method all the time in my last relationship, so I can't fucking talk, but if it's casual sex, especially.
A lot of women don't want to be on contraception either because it fucks us up.
Yeah.
Like, you're doomed. You're damned if you do. So why is it always, you know, like the women have to suffer if they're not on contraception? But again, do not just put it on the man to carry the condom. It is also your responsibility to carry a condom.
I did bring condoms with me.
Yeah, sorry, I wasn't like having a go at you. I meant like in general. We carry condoms, like literally they're in our fucking purses, you know? Like, we have the condom there because we're smart and we're like, well, if I want to have sex randomly with it, like not.
Are we smart?
Well, yeah.
We're dumb. We're just fucking dumb bitch.
Dumb bitches. We've just had too much cum fill up our brains. All right, this conversation's made me feel better. I have a bit more life in me now. Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you for not using a condom so I could feel better during our podcast. About myself. More animated. It's given me life. Like, yes, I feel strongly about this. So yeah, my update. My weekend was actually sextastic. Ended up having a threesome on the Friday, which is really nice. And I felt like introducing Sam to a whole new world of like non-monogamy. And he's had threesomes before, but not like let's go on a date with somebody and go back to our house and have some fun. And I don't have many threesomes like that. It's normally like sex parties. I think the Dom couple was the first time I had a proper threesome. Otherwise, it's all been sex party threesomes and stuff, which I don't really count.
How exciting.
And that was lovely. I had a nice date beforehand, and it was a very good threesome. It was like very... like a lot of good happened from it. There was sort of no awkwardness. We both like talked and had fun, and there were a few things that I struggled with, because again we're so used to being so communicative, and I want a threesome to be like literally I do not like this, I do like this, like that's the kind of communication I want and expect, and I felt like I wasn't getting that. I felt that she was really hard to read, but I spoke to her about that. I did say like, you're really hard to read. Is it okay if I ask you a question? You know, like I want an enthusiastic yes if you're down for it, but you know, different people. Some people don't necessarily work that way or don't feel comfortable yet to be that explicitly honest and open.
I think some people during sex as well just aren't used to saying things, and they find it like gets them out of the moment by saying those things because they're just not used to that being a conversation.
And it can do, and there was a moment where Sam was pushing her head down on his dick, and which was like lovely to see, but I panicked and I was like, oh my god, you know, like what if she's not cool with that? Have you asked? Have you had that conversation? And I did sort of stop the moment. I was like, whoa, are you okay with this? You okay with like gagging on his cock? And she was like yeah. And Sam and her had a conversation beforehand about that kind of stuff. Like I guess he can fill in the dots a bit more than I can. I need it so literal.
Yeah.
Until I'm used to somebody, and then I feel like I don't need to ask those questions anymore until I can like predict what they're thinking. Still important to check in, but yeah, it was amazing. Like seeing Sam's face when both of us were sucking his dick at the same time is like the best thing I've ever fucking seen. It's so good. It is just so good. Like if I was a dude, that would be like my ultimate. Like I want two girls sucking my dick at the same time, like up and down at the same fucking time. Like that. I love that shit in porn anyway. Yeah. I'm not really into watching blowjobs, but like I was always like, wow, that must be amazing. And yeah, it was. Got it all.
Yeah. How does he feel like after that experience with you? Actually, how do you feel after that experience with him?
That's a good question. I mean, I always found that having sex with other people just made me closer to my partner. Always. It made me sort of like see them from a different perspective and enjoy them. But then it's also, again, it's an element of self-esteem. There's no insecurities, but of course like checking in is so important afterwards. Like how was that for you? Did you enjoy it? What did you like? What didn't you like? So yeah, I definitely felt so much closer to him. Like yes, it was like a team effort. We did this together. Still very sexy and very excited for our next threesome, which I'm actually having to reschedule, which I'm really sad, but you know, when that comes about, that'll be fun.
Nice. And how was he like afterwards? Was he just like, whoa, that was amazing?
Yeah. I feel like his mind was blown, just like the first time I ever went to a sex party. But again, it's still so hard to come. I couldn't come, you know, especially when you're having like a couple of drinks, and she couldn't come either. Impossible.
I feel like that's just the thing. Like, I don't think you can come during a threesome.
Yeah, I have come once from a threesome, but that was like a G-spot orgasm, and they were both focused on me and my pleasure.
Yeah.
And I felt like there were no... Oh, God, it was really good. Like, I think I almost cried afterwards because I was like, I'd hardly ever came with somebody
the one in
else.
hedonism.
Yeah, in hedonism. Such a cool experience. But yeah, this one, so caught up in my own head. It's like I need to be able to fully focus, and you can't because you're there giving pleasure to another person or two other people or more. So, yeah, it did take me a while, but Sam and I fucked afterwards, and then I got my orgasm, which was nice. Yay. Thanks, Sam.
Nice.
But on the Sunday, after we got back, we had like a full chill day, and we ended up like having fun. You know, it's the first time Sam or I have been able to live on our own without housemates. So we just went in. We both tied each other to the chair and like played with each other and teased with each other, and fuck me, made loads of OnlyFans content, and I ended up getting tied to a chair and like I oh my God, suction cup dildo on a chair, tied to it, and then like edged and teased with a motherfucking wand for like ages. Florence, I was in heaven. I got up and I was like dripping, like literally dripping.
Fuck.
Like down my legs. I was like, what the fuck, man? I mean, this is where my kink of bondage comes in, because I was just in fucking heaven.
Wow. That's when you know you're like super turned on by like that kink or like whatever's happening. It's like when you're actually dripping.
Like even before there was any sexual stuff, just being tied to the chair, I was like, oh God. Oh,
you're like, fuck.
Yeah, I'm fucking ready.
Frothing at the mouth.
Yeah, I was frothing at the gash. I was like, please, get me out of this chair, Sam, just fuck me. He was like, oh.
Oh my God. Yeah, that sounds amazing.
So yeah, it was just a great fucking weekend. Maybe that's why I'm feeling really low. I've got like mad sub drop.
That makes so much sense. So you've got PMS and you've also just had like the best sex all weekend. So you're so tired.
Yeah, all my serotonin and dopamine's used up. And on Sunday after we played, I was literally like, so not normally super needy, but oh my God, I was so needy. I was like, I need constant cuddles and reassurance, and like I was just like, Jesus fucking Christ, who am I?
Who am I? Well, I think it is time to bring on our guest.
Holy shit.
Hey, Tanea.
Hi.
Welcome to Fucks Given. How are you today?
Hello. I am very well. How about you?
Yeah, we're great, thank you.
Well, no.
Oh. I spoke for both of us too soon.
Although the conversation, the intro we did give me some pep and life, but maybe you can shed some light in this. I feel like crap. And I'm like PMSing, and I've got sub drop, and I didn't know, like, do you know why we feel so awful around our period? Like depressed, and like everything's awful. Is it chemical? Give me some hope, please. You're amazing.
We're like right in. We've got a doctor on board. Let's get the advice.
Yeah, I know. We're like one of those annoying friends where you're just like, yeah, so I'm a doctor, and they're like, oh, can you look at this really gross thing that's on my back, please? You're like, please, like, pay me for my time, please. So we're just.
I just say I love doing that? I love being that person. Yes, I will tell you. I know the answer to this.
You look amazing. You are amazing. Please tell our lovely listeners a bit about yourself and who you are.
You're so kind. Thank you so much. But still, again, I love answering questions like that. But which is the background to who I am. My name is Tanea. I'm a doctor. I practice in India and the UK. I recently moved to the US on a sabbatical while I write my book, because I talk all about sex and sexual health on the internet, and that's also what my book is about. And that's it. I'm called Dr. Cuterus on the internet because I have a name that's hard to pronounce, apparently.
Yeah.
So now, Reed, you can ask your question.
So do you have any inclination why I might be feeling so shit? Why we as women feel so shit just before our periods or just after a round? What's going on there?
It's nasty, isn't it? That we get like the short end of the stick. But basically what happens is that you have a bunch of hormones in your body that are regulating your cycles, that are regulating your periods, when you're releasing the egg. And what happens in a period is that suddenly all of these hormones are taken away. And when there's no hormones, your body is just like, oh, whoops, okay, I'll drop the load now. And then it just lets out a period. And
Makes sense.
because of this sort of suddenly taking away the hormones, we get a whole clusterfuck of emotions ranging from sadness, anxiety, feeling extremely hungry. Is it just me?
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
sleepy. So a whole bunch of issues.
Yeah, exhausted. And my OCD gets so much worse, like unmanageable around this time, where I just become very controlling and trying to control everyone and anything and all my environment. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. I feel like it has a lot more weight coming from a doctor rather than we get that stereotype of women always complaining and being sad and emotional around their period. It's like, no, literally there are physical changes and chemical changes going on inside of us. Please just be a little more respectful and understand. I still think that we should be able to, when Florence, in our company, in the future, I want it to be that a woman can take off, or people, uterus-owning people, can take off at least a day a month if their period fucks them up. Because it is almost like having a bad fucking cold for a lot of people.
And
really
there is a food delivery company in India called Zomato that gives you 2 days off every month for your period.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's so progressive.
It's bloody fantastic.
Yeah. Oh,
Bloody
my goodness.
indeed.
Yes, bloody indeed. Right, okay. Shall we actually get onto the podcast now rather than talking about me and my issues? I'm so sorry, guys.
Get your little advice kick fix.
Yeah.
You trained in Oxford in London, right? What did you train in, and how did you start getting interested in sexual health?
So both my parents are fertility doctors. So I come from a long lineage of just dealing with junk. And it was very normal conversation in my house to talk about semen or somebody's period, right?
That's amazing.
And
That's so
yeah,
good.
it's now that I step out into the real world, I see how great it is.
Yeah.
And then again, this was also a normal conversation in medical school because of course. And then I stepped away and I was like, I really want to get into some research. I want to learn something a little bit more on the more academic side. So I applied at Oxford and I went to study assisted reproduction. So basically like IVF and related technologies. I had a great time, but what I figured was that a lot of the reason why we need assisted reproduction is very basic stuff. You know, if we understand a little bit more about STI prevention, if we understand a little bit more about sex ed, all of these issues wouldn't exist. And this sort of ties in very
That
well
is
with,
so interesting.
and infertility is preventable in a lot of situations. So I just found that it ties in really well with everything that my dad used to tell me. So this is my favorite story. I tell everybody I meet this story. So my dad had a patient, and it was a couple who had been trying to have a child for about 7 years, and they couldn't conceive. So they came to my parents, of course, and that's where they met them. And they ran all the tests, and it turns out there was absolutely nothing wrong. There was no reason why they should not be having a child. So out of curiosity, my dad sat the fellow down and he's like, dude, what are you doing? Why is this not working? Okay. And guess what? This fellow had been putting it in his wife's belly button for the past 7 years.
Please.
I wish I was making this up.
Please. I am.
What?
7 years.
Oh, my lord.
What?
I'm trying not to
How can
laugh
you
because
put-
it's not their fault. It's not his fault. It's not either one of their fault. It's the lack of education. But the belly button of all things.
His logic makes sense, you know. Babies come from the tummy and there's a hole in the tummy, so you put it there, of course.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Oh,
That's
wow.
really sad.
It is. But
Yeah,
I guess
mean-
that it makes sense why something like that as well. Hearing a story like that would really provoke you to be like, okay, people need more information when it comes to sex.
That is true.
Blimey.
And, like I thought it might be different in India that, we're a developing country. Maybe we don't have enough education. We don't have enough conversation around this topic. And then I landed up at Oxford, which is supposed to be some of the most brilliant minds on the planet. And nobody knew anything. So there was so many misconceptions about sex and sexual health, even in a place that is supposed to be full of very educated people. And I just, the more and more I sort of redid postings with the NHS, the more and more I interacted with people, the more and more I went on shadow visits to different hospitals. I just was astounded by the lack of knowledge that is everywhere. It's not just an India problem, it's everywhere problem.
Yeah. What are the differences between, as you've been a doctor in India and in the UK, I don't know if you're practicing in the US, but have you found any differences within sexual health in the different countries, or do you feel like it is quite similar everywhere?
So in sort of the more higher socioeconomic strata in India, it is similar to the rest of the Western world, but in lower socioeconomic strata in India, we have more basic problems like there's so many myths around menstrual health. There's stuff like if you touch pickles, they'll go bad. I mean, imagine having that power. You can rot food on touch. But, we have more basic stuff. Somebody just posted, another doctor who works in India in the menstrual health space just posted about how if you touch your husband on your period, their life expectancy reduces or something of that sort.
Oh my goodness.
It's strange how like we all create these like myths around sex, and it's always around sex. And I wonder whether it's because of like the power that sex does have and the power that women have, especially when it comes to sex and reproduction.
Yeah.
So, I have a theory about that, which is that anything you don't talk about, there become like 1,500 sort of secrets around it, like the Area 51. If the government was just to disclose what the Area 51 is, we won't have all of these conspiracy theories on the internet about aliens.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if we just talk more about periods and sex and butts and vaginas and penises and boobs, I think we might solve this problem.
For you, why do you find it so important that we do talk about sex, especially after the stories that you've told us earlier today?
So I think it's all built on that background. And then also, like, when I was younger, I remember I used to have a boyfriend and I was slut-shamed about it so much. And, when I would make out with him, even just to kiss, I remember freaking out that, oh my God, what's going to happen now? And then, just that younger self that has all of these questions and nowhere to get them addressed in a simple language. Because if you do look this up on the internet, you might find very technical articles about this is how ovulation and conception happens. So I think it was that sort of lack of resource situation, and also the fact that this is such a normal conversation in my household. I never realized that this is not a normal conversation in other places, that it was a combination of both of those things. And I was like, this is who I am in person, so why don't I be that person on the internet? And and that's somehow how this happened.
Yeah, I mean, you've got so many followers.
I was going to say,
on
there's a thirst
Instagram.
For it. They need, the people need to hear you and hear you well.
Yeah, and it's amazing that someone that is a doctor and sex educator, like talking about sex and sexual health and reproduction and everything like that, has such a big voice online. And I mean, I'm so fucking grateful for you.
I am so fucking grateful for the internet for letting this happen. Like, I remember when I started my account, I was telling my mama, I was like, Mama, one day I'll have 10,000 followers, you watch. And then it happened, and it grew beyond 10,000. And, just having the 10,000 was such a big dream, because I didn't expect this conversation to be so accessible, which tells you a great deal about the fact that there are people who want to know about this and learn about this, but just don't have either the right language, it's inaccessible, or...
If there was one piece of sexual advice that you think everyone should know about, what do you think it would be?
Okay, there's two. Can I share two, please?
Yes.
Yeah.
You are welcome.
One is you need protection for oral sex. So dental dams and condoms are important when you're having oral sex. I did not know what a dental dam was until I moved to the UK, and I am a doctor. I should know this.
Yeah, shit, yeah. I mean, I'm sitting here and I'm nodding my head and I'm still thinking I'm never going to do this. I'm so sorry. Like,
it's so true.
This
is a really interesting conversation, though.
Yeah.
Like, what? Okay, why?
Okay, because STIs and oral sex is a great way of transmitting STIs. So many people think, oh no, I'm not going to have sex. I'll just, go down on him and it'll be fine. And bang, you have an STI. So yeah, that's a scary thing. And
Sorry, I was going to say, what STIs can you pass on through oral sex?
So the one you want to be careful around is herpes. A lot of people have cold sores around their mouths. You want to be careful around HSV, HPV, gonorrhea, chlamydia, everything, basically. Everything that, we know is a high-risk situation in terms of getting STIs. Oral sex is a very high-risk situation. And because it is considered not having sex in a lot of ways, sort of like a loophole around it, people are even less careful around it.
Yeah. I'm definitely a culprit of that. Like, I will go have, usually have protected sex, but I will give head without a condom on, or, without any protection there. And that's kind of always been the go-to, if I'm honest. And I think probably most people will say the same.
But Florence and I do talk a lot about the stigma around getting an STI and how getting an STI is shit and it is bad and it can cause complications for fertility in the future. But we are also so hell-bent and caught up on it being the end of the world and so disgusting and shameful that we don't talk about it when we do catch something. Because, you're having sex. If you're having unprotected sex, you are very likely to catch something at some point within your life. And because it happens. I've got STIs. I've had genital warts, herpes, not genitally, but I've had herpes. And what's the other one that I've had? I don't know what it's called.
The HSV one.
Yeah, HSV, but then HSV, I don't know 100% because I thought genital warts was the same, and it's not. It's a symptom of HS.
It's HPV.
Oh, HPV. Thank you, HPV. But you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you don't always. It doesn't have to.
And sort of, it's so important to plug it at this point that they have been studied. So HPV is linked with causing cancer and a bunch of cancers, like cervical cancer, back of the throat cancer, and penile cancer and anal cancer. And, it's not just the risk of STIs. And again, I'm not trying to shame the idea of getting STIs, but why not protect yourself if you can? It's like going into a crowded club at the moment without a mask. It's the same thing. So it's not just like a temporary STI situation. It's also the fact that it can increase your risk of getting certain cancers. So why not protect yourself? And I know the UK is doing a fabulous job at controlling HPV with the vaccinations. And
yes, all that new stuff that came out with they did a survey of 1.7 million women who had this vaccine, and it's almost
90%.
Something mad, 90% effective against cervical cancer for the women, which was it's a fucking round of applause to
Is that a new thing? Because I had a cervical cancer vaccine when I was 16.
Yeah, that would be the same thing. I think most of us had that at school. Because we're around the age of 30. I've just turned 31, and I think they brought it in either around my time at school or just after or something. So I remember. I don't know if anyone older than my age got it in the UK, but definitely younger.
Interesting.
They also,
unless your parents said no.
They also started vaccinating penis owners with it. So the vaccine only came out in 2006 in the UK, if I'm not wrong. So it should have been around then. Only people post 2006 would have been able to get it. But now that they've also started vaccinating school-going penis owners, it's great because,
Amazing.
everybody's protected now.
That's cool.
HPV was my second point. So in India, we don't have HPV available, the vaccine available so easily. It costs about £20 per dose, which is not a lot of money if you really think about it, but it is a lot of money for a lot of Indian people. And you need 3 doses depending on what age you get it. If you get it at a younger age, you only need 2. So most people don't know about it. And I've had so many of my audience who go to their doctor, who go to their gynecologist and ask for it. And the gynecologist is like, why? Are you sexually active? You don't need it. And that's the whole bloody point. You have to get it before you're sexually active, right? So,
Yeah.
Terrifying.
What happens if you get it after you're sexually active? Because it is known that you're supposed to have it before you have sex.
So it's not,
ever, right?
ideally, because you want to have it before you're ever exposed to HPV. But the thing is, HPV can spread from skin to skin contact. You don't necessarily need to have sex for it. So the earlier you get it, the better it is in every way. But you can still get it even after you have been sexually active. I mean, it's still protection, right? It's not completely like a lost cause.
And also, I guess, like, having said all of this, though, as well, a huge percentage of people do have HPV, and it's not the end of the world if you do have it, right?
Yeah, I know so many people that have HPV.
That's
people that have managed to have babies. You know, it is. If there is someone out there listening to it going like, oh, woe is me, I didn't get the vaccine because I have HPV. Like, it's something mad. Like, was it 85% of US citizens have HPV? It's such a high statistic. I want to know what's the UK like. I wonder, have we done that test yet? Do we not?
No, I probably just got it because I had sex with an American without a condom.
Yeah, done deal. Collect them all. Pokemon.
Can you get it still if you had the vaccine? Because Reed had the vaccine.
So the vaccine protects you against, depending on which one you get, it protects you against 4 strains or 9 strains. So you can still get infected with a certain strain of HPV, but the 4 or 9 strains are the most commonly linked with getting cancer. So, you know, the more high risk ones, and the others can cause warts and other things. So it's not a big deal really, because what you really want to be careful around is cervical cancer, because it's the second most common cancer in women in the world. And we talk so much about breast cancer. We don't talk about cervical cancer enough. Like, so many people don't know that we have a cervix or there's a thing like a cervix.
I need to go and have a smear test when I get back. That's reminded me.
Everyone needs their smear
Please
tests.
get your smear
It's
test.
very important.
Because
Please.
the issue with cervical cancer in particular is that it's often diagnosed when it's already like very advanced. And sometimes not even then. Yeah. So just sort it out earlier, right? Like, why wait?
Yeah.
It's really frustrating that there just isn't enough information and enough sort of like medicine. I mean, we talk about this a lot with just female anatomy and medicine, and how it's kind of just been put on the sideline for a lot. It's always, I don't want to make this into like a sexist thing, but we're just forgotten about. Most tests are done with men in mind. And I feel like definitely it needs to change. This is why young doctors are so important, because they're also fed new information. I would much rather see a young doctor than an older doctor these days, because I feel like they're going to, be more proactive in that area. Maybe not necessarily, but more proactive, and also being given the most recent information rather than set in stone and taught all this stuff at school, which is kind of like stuck in their brain, and then they're stuck in their ways. I mean, I'm so glad that I left my old man doctor, bless him, and now I'm seeing younger doctors, because I feel like I'm not just like being heard more, but also the element of care that revolves around it. I feel like it's not just like, okay, we're going to try this, like, oh, that's really hard to hear, like, I'm sorry you're having to deal with that, let's look at our options. I'm going through all these tests at the moment for endometriosis, and lots of scans, and the next step for me is to see a gynecologist specialist and potentially have a laparoscopy, which is surgical camera. Yeah, laparoscopy, to see if I've got endometriosis because you can't tell otherwise. I didn't know if you had any sort of information or anything that you can give me on that, because I'm hearing everyone at the moment talk about endometriosis and how it goes so undiagnosed. And what can I do? Like, is there anything else that's like endometriosis that I might have instead? You know, am I going to get? Is it a lot of it is like, is this my obsessive compulsive disorder and all of these symptoms are in my head? That's what I constantly think at the moment. That like I'm doing all of this and it's not real. Sorry, that was probably a therapy moment there. Sorry, I got my therapy appointment on Thursday.
Oh, that reminds me, I need to schedule my appointment. Great. Moving countries has thrown that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so blimey, yeah.
But the first thing, I mean, don't trivialize your pain like that. If you are having enough pain to consider endometriosis as a diagnosis, this is not something that you should think that, oh, this is just my OCD playing up. Period pain can be really intense for a lot of people. And if it is that intense, it is worth getting investigated. And I think the stat for the UK is that it takes about 7 years for somebody to get diagnosed with endometriosis. So 7 years of appointments. And that's not wonderful, is it? So basically the issue with endometriosis is that it's so poorly understood. Like, the best test we have for a condition that plagues, I think, if I remember correctly, about 10 to 15% of the world population is surgery. You know, like, we should have something simpler for this. We should have a blood test by now. We've known about endometriosis for a very long time. Why is it taking us so long? And it's a very good reflection on the fact that there's not enough money in women's medicine. Like, I can't remember where I read this, and I don't know if this is an accurate stat, but about there was some comparison of how much money is spent into research on erectile dysfunction. And 14% of that money is spent on endometriosis research.
Wow.
That is staggering, because erectile dysfunction, yeah, sure, I'm not trying to trivialize the issue, but it's not that you're living in constant physical pain every single month compared to a condition like endometriosis.
No.
You know,
it's not a painful experience. It's not something that's affecting you every
I
single
mean,
day.
emotionally,
It's just
sure.
affecting sex,
Emotionally,
right?
it can be, but actual physical pain where you're unable to get out of bed and just writhing in pain is not good.
Yeah, I'm scared. Like, my cramps haven't even kicked in yet. I'm just feeling like the emotional effects, and I'm like, do I have to cancel my week? I've got events. I had a threesome booked in on Thursday, which I'm having to cancel because I'm like, I'm just going to be a mess as soon as my period hits, and I will. I mean, today was a bed day, and I haven't had my cramps yet, and I haven't had my flow, so I'm just like dreading.
Yeah. And see, this is the kind of thing that makes me so angry, that this really impacts people's lives. You know, it takes out days from your life. So why are we not focusing more on this? One of my really, really good friends has really bad painful periods, and she has had all kinds of surgery and investigation, but they haven't been able to find any trace of endometriosis. But they also cannot explain why her periods hurt so much. And it's especially infuriating for me because she's a really close friend of mine. And I see it every day, every month we talk about it. And even I can't help, me being a doctor in this field. So it's just a sad situation all around.
It is. I mean, I only heard of, what was it? Someone told me, I can't pronounce it.
Adenomyosis.
Adenomyosis. And I was like, what the fuck is that? Like, why has no one mentioned that to me before? It all sounds really similar.
Adenomyosis is quite similar to endometriosis, except we see it in older people. So in the ages of 40s. But that's not necessarily the case. It can be adenomyosis as well. It's one of the differentials we consider, but sort of the age group we are in, this is when endometriosis is diagnosed most frequently, because guess what? People go to the doctor not for their period pain, but when they start struggling with having a baby, because that's how the medical institution has treated them. You know, that your birth giving priorities before everything else. So many people are dismissed about their pain and are only properly investigated when they're like, yeah, we've been trying for a couple of years and we haven't been able to have a baby, so let's look this up. So it's extremely infuriating.
It's really sad. And I guess, like, you know, the jobs that you are doing now on social media and like putting your voice out there and what we do, this is the start of the conversation, right? Like, this is the start of the movement to like make things happen. So, you know, like, as much as this is really annoying, we can't stop talking about these things.
Yeah.
Because we have to use our voices to make these changes happen, because this is not okay. Like, I want, you know, if I have children, I want, like, when I don't want them to be having these issues when they're in their 30s. Like, I want the world to be in a different place then.
Yeah. Is there anything positive that you're seeing from your side that's, you know, like exciting in medicine, or big changes that you're excited about, that, you know, to leave on a nice lighter note than all of this?
Since we've talked majorly about social media and sort of how it's sort of linked with medicine in my case, I'm going to tell you a couple of happy incidents from there, which is that one of my patients recently got, not one of my patients, one of my audience people recently got pregnant. And they'd been trying for a while, but they weren't able to have sex because sex was painful. So very simple advice, foreplay and lubricants, and now they're on their way to having a baby. So it just makes me so happy.
Oh, that's so lovely. Such simple things that we just never got taught in sex ed. Like, lube can change the game. Foreplay and lube is everything. Oh,
Yeah.
That's so good. Nice.
I remember even when I was in my early 20s, I had a boyfriend and all our sex was painful. Because for some reason, I don't know what was going through my life. It was just, it was like our chemistry, our partnership. I could never get wet. His dick was quite big, and like, it was just every single time I was like, this is uncomfortable. And I still at that age was just like, wasn't thinking, oh, let's go and buy some lube.
Yeah.
It just wasn't on my mind.
Such a cyclical cycle. Like, I had exactly the same with a boyfriend, where lube is like the last resort when it really doesn't work. And of course, when you use lube and you're really, you know, you've already had that abrasion, you try the lube and it stings, and so you don't want to use lube again. You have to use lube to start before you even have penetrative sex, like before anything. And then also, that sex hurts, so it has in your mind that it's going to hurt, and then it's just this horrible loop of like perpetuating doom, rather than being like, before anything, warm up the oven before you stick in the turkey, lube me the fuck up, and then we can go for some fun.
Yeah, and I use lube all the time now.
Yeah.
Yay! The funniest part of all of this is just like, it makes me so happy when people use lube, and it's so ridiculous that men are obsessed with having a massive penis, without realizing how painful it is for most people. Like, I remember this when I was in England, I think. There was this one Irish guy I slept with who had the biggest dong I've ever seen in my whole life, and like, it was like a horse. And even before I was going to pick up condoms, he's just like, yeah, no, you won't find condoms my size. I'm big. I was like, okay, whatever. I was like, okay, he's being a guy about it. Then I saw it and I was like, okay, so this is not going to fit. And we had sex, and it was the worst sex of my whole life.
Oh, shit, yeah.
And I can imagine. Never hooked up with him again, ever.
No, that sounds like he's like the opposite of BDE, you know? He's like, all he is BD. No, wait, but yeah. There's no BDE. It's just BD, and it's not cool, man.
Did you find a condom that fit his penis?
He got his own special condoms.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes. No, he was not lying when he said that. He was really not lying when he... And I professionally have happened to see a lot of penises, right? So
yeah.
Shit.
This was an outlier.
Fuck.
You were just like, whoa.
I've only come to understand, like, recently, the concept of not like girth being too big and that being tight there, but also it sounds so, like, I feel silly saying it now, but like length of womb, of like the uterus, of how much my body can take. And it's like, if I was to have anal sex, there's sort of no back door on that, but with my vagina, I've got a motherfucking back door, and then when you have hard sex with a penis that just goes a little bit beyond how far you can stretch and reach, like, I think I'm in a lot of pain with that as well. I'm just like, I'm being... I've had to like relearn how to have sex as well, instead of just being like pounded. I'm just like, well, make love to me, okay? Just I don't know, man. I don't know.
Can I like super nerd out for a second? 1 second. I'm going to grab my uterus, because I have uteruses lying about in my bedroom, of course.
Yes, please. Grab your uteruses. I want to see your uteruses.
I mean, sure, I'd like to yank mine out too, but this is what I'm talking about.
Yay. Hello, vagina. You look great.
So, it is beautiful, isn't it? Mm-hmm. So we've got the vagina over here, and for people that are just listening, the vagina is the long tube that connects your uterus to the outside. And it's like the passageway, and this is where the penis or the menstrual cup or, I don't know, toys or fingers or whatever will go inside. So the vagina actually can expand, and it can expand a lot. So, which is what happens when you just engage in a little bit of foreplay. Now the vagina knows, oh, it's sexy time, and it just relaxes and it expands to just accommodate whatever is going to go inside. And then we have, at the end of it, we've got the cervix, which is like, how I always explain it is, it's the bouncer that's standing outside the club of your uterus and making sure nobody gets in, you know. And the cervix actually can feel the pressure, so it doesn't technically have pain receptors, but it has a lot of pressure receptors. So if you bang against it, of course it's going to feel weird. And that's why sex with a massive penis can be painful and annoying. And you want to focus on a lot more foreplay in that case. And in case it's still not working, you can even get rings that you could put around the penis that can help control the depth of penetration. So we have
like a
some
bumper.
answers. Yay!
That's actually true. And that's really good advice for people that do have a really big dick and like they find that they just cause everyone pain that they sleep with. Because like, you get those little rubber rings around your dick, and then it's golden, right?
Yeah, the little pillows.
You could play that game where you throw rings at the board.
The ring toss, literally cool ring toss. Yeah,
that would be great foreplay. Ding. This chat is fascinating. Like, I've literally just been here, like, I'm learning so much.
When you brought out the uterus, I was like, it was like I'd never seen one before. Like, what is that? Oh my! But you've been absolutely amazing.
It has been so fun chatting with you guys.
Yeah,
thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Please tell our curious fuckers where they can find you and get all your good promo out right now. Tell us about your book as well. It sounds good.
Yes.
I am still writing it, so I will talk about it when I can.
You're like, oh, secret.
No, I would talk about it if I had something to talk about.
You'll get there, baby.
Well, we can't wait. I can't wait to read your book.
Thank you. I'm very excited.
I'm going to be sitting here waiting.
So, you can find me at Dr_Cuterus on Instagram. That's where I most often engage. Otherwise, I'm Dr. Cuterus on YouTube. And I also have one of those newfangled things called the TikTok now. And I'm also... and I'm also Dr. Cuterus over there. That's it. It's a simple name to remember.
Amazing. That's perfect.
Yeah,
Thank
amazing.
You so
well, thank you so much for coming on. Your knowledge has been amazing, and I really hope that everyone has, just learnt something today, because I definitely have.
Yeah, I thank you for this private doctor session. Honestly, like I'm so grateful, and I'm so sorry to grill you so hard on so many things. I'm like, please help me. I will definitely bring this to my doctor and see if we can sort some other stuff up, because it's a constant journey. Don't give up. Keep going to your doctor if you have an issue. Keep going and speaking to other people. Things can get better, and just don't give up, please.
And thank you for the work that you do as well, because we need people like you.
And thank you for the work you do, and it's been fantastic being here.
Amazing. Lots of love. Oh my god, she was amazing. Like my days.
It was really, really cool hearing from her, and I think like I wasn't expecting to learn so much in that episode. I mean, obviously I should have expected. She's a doctor.
Yeah.
But like going into everything to do with women's health and like, gosh, that's such a big conversation, isn't it?
Yeah, especially because we should know this shit and we don't. And it's scary how little we know, and we're in that space where we should know and we don't. I mean, imagine the rest of the fucking world. They must be absolutely motherfucking clueless.
Y'all so clueless out there.
You goddamn idiots. Education failed you. Failed us too. You just have to be really fucking on it with doing your research. And I'm so sorry. I just talked so fucking much during that episode. Like, I do feel a bit better, but I feel dead. Like, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, you started this episode being like, yeah, guys, I'm not really going to be able to pay much attention. I'm just going to be listening here. And then Reed's like, hey, could you tell me about this thing?
Please
and
give me this free advice. I am
my
desperate
PMS and like my cervix.
my cervix and also my lower cervix and my endometriosis. Please help me. So yeah, I cannot thank her enough. She was fucking amazing. And I hope you guys found that interesting too. I know there might have been a lot of eye rolls listening to that and women's issues, but they really do need to be listened to. Because it's so important. It makes me feel so held when I feel respected for going through like a period or like at least heard.
Well, if you found this episode useful and you learned something from it, then please do share it with your friends, with your family. This is one of the safer episodes you can share.
Yes.
So
yes, it is. Maybe not at the beginning, but just tell them to skip halfway.
Oh yeah. Fuck the no condom talk at the beginning. And then she's just like, use condoms when you give oral sex, and we're like,
in it, so many people are going to listen to that conversation at the beginning of us talking about bondage and not using condoms and be like, no, these two women, they preach the bad, get away, like.
But then we preach the good. The doctor preaches the good.
We got the good going.
So remember to leave us a rating and review if you love us, because it helps us reach more people. And if you learn anything today, it would be the fact that we need to have these conversations more regularly, spread this message far and wide. So please rate, 5-star, review. Lots of good words.
You can also check us out and keep up to date with our shite on Instagram @ComeCurious, as well as our personal accounts, Reed Amber X and Florence Spark. We also have a Twitter as well.
What?
Yes, we got one of them.
It's shit, but
yeah, we're struggling with it, but it's still there. And we hope you enjoyed this podcast episode.
Yeah, see you next Thursday, curious fuckers.
Love you all.
Bye.
Bye.